We have sensational quarterfinal action tonight. Golden T-Mobile World Championship qualifying featuring two studs of this game. Marc Duchesne, who plays as Marc, and Brian Davis, who plays as Not Xjaym, will battle it out today for their chance to get to the semifinals and one step closer to the 2021 World Championship in Las Vegas, Nevada. They will play today on Rocky Front. Hi, everyone. I am Chad Schrump, and these players have teed off on hole number 1. Rocky is a scores course, so I would expect one or both of these players to hole out on the very first hole, and Marc will take a maniac's way up and over, not electing to use a torpedo, and see what he can do with stinger opportunity number 1. This looks straight. This is just a little right. That caught a little fringe and kicked it right. Brian will try to go over this fringe and does good. Brian Davis, Not Xjaym, will take an early one-stroke advantage, makes his stinger. If there was ever a player that makes a lot of these shots, it is Brian Davis. Marc will make his putt here, yes, and that is a birdie, but he is now down one stroke to Not Xjaym. As we go into the par 4 second hole, go up and over the rock formation. He is going to use a sniper, and he is all over it, a little deep, no points. Marc will shoot the same identical shot. This line looks like it's fading a bit right, and it looks almost the same. I would be willing to bet Marc has a 9-footer as well. And I'm wrong. It's 8 feet. So 2 good shots, no points, but they both eagle. Brian with a one-stroke lead on Marc as we go to hole number 3. No stinger opportunity here. They will back up in orbit. Brian throws it in very nicely. Almost lands it right in the cup. And will have an easy birdie putt. Marc will try to float in a 3-iron sniper, which is going to be a touch left and a little bit short, but it will be a birdie putt, nice and safe, and we will go to hole number 4. Both players will birdie this par 3. Look at that backdrop. This really is a pretty course. Rocky Hollow, the front 9, hole number 4, par 5. Get to the end of this fairway and then loft something up like a 3-wood or a high loft driver to reach the par 5 in 2. Brian is in good shape. Marc will hit a very similar shot. He will use a torpedo versus a streak, so it should carry a bit further than Brian's did. And who is up to hit first? It is Marc. He is going to hit a 4-wood with a grabber. This should click off the rocks and stop softly. It kicks hard left, but a very good shot. He will have an eagle. Brian will try to land this past the hole and see if he can't bring it back into the cup. It's going to land short. It will snap back, and he will have a very makeable eagle putt. Brian still one better than GT par. If you birdie, if you eagle every hole that you are supposed to, and I'm not talking about making the stinger on 1, this course sets up for a 14 under par. Brian is currently on a 15 under pace. Marc still is playing clean. Brian will try to kick this off the rocks several times, plays pinball with the rock formation, and lands eventually, softly and safely on the green. Marc goes up and over, clears, nice shot, lands it just softly enough to have a very manageable putt. Brian does too. And we have 2 more eagles to notch onto the scorecards. We are running out of holes if you are Marc Duchesne. 4 holes to play, down by a stroke. And again, we are going to go to another par 3 that is not a stinger type shot. Brian will float this in and let it kick to the right. Nice shot, a little bit deep. Marc needs to find something in very soon if he wants a chance to win this match. Here's the 4, and it just slides to the left. Very nice shot. Great shot points. Just a smidge left, or maybe a smidge too hard that might have dropped had it been maybe 1% left. Let's look. No, that was never going to go if you hit it softer. It was still going to be a little left of the cup. But, man, what a shot from Marc. Brian makes his putt. Marc will do the same. Still a one-stroke lead. Brian is 10 under par, Marc 9 under par. Not Xjaym will tee off on the par 5 7th hole. Brian elects to go up top on this shelf and then will go up over the arch onto this elevated green just past that archway. Marc will do the same shot. It is coming down to the very last few shots for Marc. Not Xjaym with a one-stroke lead, and will go at this with an orbit. This looks very nice. No, he just misses to the right. The camera never really wants to catch up on that shot, no matter how many times you hit it. So it looked good. That was a great shot from Brian. Marc will float in a Maniacs and will have a rather long putt. He should be fine with this. It's a 40-foot left 5. Makes it. Nice putt by Marc Duchesne. Not Xjaym will make his eagle putt. 2 holes to play. Marc is winning the great shot point battle barely, but down by a stroke to Not Xjaym. Both players, as you know, if you followed along, look at the shot by Brian Davis. Out of GSP range, however. Both of these players played in 2020's Golden T-Mobile World Championship in Vegas. Marc bringing this one in, trying to rip it back. More great shot points, but not in the hole. We are again going to need, for Marc, he will need to ace number 9, or Brian will have to do something very silly. Very silly. But quite frankly, Brian has every bit of an opportunity to hole 9 as Marc does. And knowing Brian, he probably thinks, knowing Marc's game, he probably needs to make hole number 9. He's probably assuming Marc did make hole number 1. And knowing that Brian only has 9,000 GSPs, I would assume he thinks he needs to make this. Let's see if he's aggressive with it. Floats this barely over the sand, and it will kick down. A very nice shot. Should be points. It is. 3,600 points. Marc Duchesne must make this shot to move on in this week's tournament. Brian needs to hope it doesn't go in, and he moves on to the semifinals of this week's tournament. Here we go. Marc will throw this up. The wind's letting it come back in. It is a little bit right. It is safely right. If you're Brian, you think, hey, nice try, but I am moving on. Marc Duchesne makes his birdie, but Brian Davis, Not Xjaym, will win by a stroke. 15 under to 14 under. Well-played match by both players. Brian will move on to the semifinals. Golden T-Mobile.